talk about advanced training. I mentioned it before on the show. I mention it all the time to my students that shooting is a perishable skill. Now, if you're a bad shooter, let it perish. Okay, but if you've become proficient and you're pretty good and you're at a certain standard or certain level, if you don't maintain your practice, you're going to lose it. It's going to perish. It's going to reduce in its excellence, in its ability to do what you want it to do, because what you're doing with a firearm is making it an extension of you. When you put that firearm in your hand, if it's a handgun, you put that gun in your hand and you put it out there and you're going to go shoot a target, that bullet, the projectile, has an attorney attached to it, okay? It's waiting to see where it's going to go. And it can land in the most safest place, and an attorney can still flip it and spin it around and make it seem like you did a bad thing. But you have to be really careful as to what's behind your target, your backstop, and what's beyond and all that. Okay, so you have to be careful. And that being proficient when using a handgun is extremely important. Now, obviously, I'm pretty good. Okay, I've gotten to the point, I've done lots of practice, so on and so forth. But there's been a block of time recently where I hadn't practiced. And I could tell I was losing my edge. And it's still a sharp edge, but I was losing the edge, thinking, I gotta get back in the range. I gotta start doing all this stuff. And not just shooting at a piece of paper. I'm talking the draw, the grip, the trigger squeeze, the point shooting, the maneuvering, the multiple targets, all these different things. So I got a group of guys together that come to the shop all the time. And I'll tell you, I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of this. My shop, Aaron's Gun Shop in Cameron here, has produced some of the finest shooters I know because they're serious. And once they put the block of time in to get themselves to a certain proficiency level, it doesn't take that much to maintain it. However, if you stop that little bit to maintain it, it will deteriorate. Okay, so we got together, we were serious about it, doing it every week, bought a whole bunch of ammo, coming up with different methods and concept ideas as to what to practice. And why did I get the team? It's because it's always better to train with somebody else. You get to watch somebody else. You get to see somebody else. They get to watch you. And they pick up things that you may not have seen before. And here's a big thing, a huge thing, is recording yourself. One of the guys on the team, he recorded all of us shooting, and I was watching one of my my videos of me shooting from a restaurant table, basically a mock restaurant table. And it was very interesting to see every frame, every step, every manipulation, every thought process, because everything that happens with the gun is a subconscious thought. It can't be a primary thought because your primary thought's on the threat. These things have to be built into you. Innate decisions as to what to do, how to do it, where to do it, what manner to do it. It has to be practiced out. So when you're in a scenario, let's say you're in a restaurant behind a table and you're in a booth and the booth seats don't move, you got to learn how to pivot, got to learn how to draw while you're sitting, point shoot with accuracy because you got a whole restaurant full of people. You got to make sure you're not shooting people behind the threat. If you have to change a mag, what's your procedure for doing it? Have you practiced it? All the while knowing your firearm inside and out so that you don't have to concentrate on your firearm. You don't have to think about your firearm. Knowing your extra magazines and where they are placed right, and how to index the weapon into your line of sight so that you can insert the extra mag in there if your gun runs empty. There's all these things. So watching the video, I would watch it over and over and over and over again, frame by frame. It was amazing. I picked up like 3 or 4 different things that I noticed that was, hey, that's great, or hey, I could do this a little bit better. So getting together with other people is a great idea, but you got to be serious about it. It's not a picnic. The picnic is for after. Go do your training, be of like mind, be serious, do the training, but you got to make sure that you're with somebody who basically knows what they're doing. The worst problem I have is teaching people how to get out of bad habits. That's why I'm so excited when I get a student who's a clean slate, so to speak. They haven't shot or have been taught by somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing. And so I can teach them from the get-go, and their ability to increase their proficiency picks up tenfold. because there's no bad habits to get rid of. The other thing is women. I'd have to say the majority of women that I train pick it up super fast because women have a tendency to want to listen as compared to guys who think they know it all. That's just the way it is, okay? Now, if you get a woman who's been trained by somebody and she's got bad habits, the same process. But if you get majority of the times a woman's willing to listen, or if I get a new person who's got a clean slate, extremely fast to teach them. Now, what do we do in this group of people? I kind of mentioned a bunch of things already, but the first thing we do is we warm up. We want to make sure, the basic fundamentals of drawing the weapon from the holster and hitting it on the target have not been diminished. So we'll spend, 10 minutes just shooting about 10, 15 rounds. We'll all cycle through, saying, okay, got a good feel. But on the bad side of that is, God forbid something happens, you got to shoot cold. Shooting cold means you didn't have time to do those 15 rounds and warm up and make sure the gun's working right and your holster's in place and the magazines are where they're supposed to be and your shirt's not in the way and all this kind of stuff. You're going cold. So that's going to be another aspect of the training that we do is when we first come into the range, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to see if we can hit our targets on the move, in a threatening situation, on a cold shoot. So very important. We're also going to be doing multiple guns, round robins. We do the round robin competitions for a reason. It teaches us how to manipulate somebody else's firearm, God forbid if we can't use our own. And like Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch says, if you're in a big gunfight, there's going to be guns around. They may be empty, and they may be on the ground. Some of them will be loaded, some of them won't. But if you have familiarization with a firearm and can look at it just from a distance and have a general idea how it works and what potential condition it's in the sense of, is the slide locked to the rear? Is the magazine out? Is the slide forward? Is the hammer down? Is the safety on? All the basics that you need to know. When people come to my classes, license to carry class, and today is one of them at 2 o'clock, and there's still time for 2 or 3 more people to join, just give me a call here at the studio and we'll take your name down. But when you come to the class, just totally lost my train of thought. And we got a call. Maybe they want to take the class. Joel, see who that is. But there's a lot of things that go on in the class that are very important to know. And I stress them highly because if you don't know them, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. What do we expect? What do we expect out of our training? Is that a call for us? I'll tell you what, let me stop talking. Let's take the call. Welcome to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. You are on the air. Who am I talking to?
Matt, this is Butch.
Butch, what's going on, man? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I just want to thank you for letting me be part of your team. It has been very good practice, and if a person carries, and hopefully, like you talked about, not needing it, you better practice. And I'm just thank you for letting me train with you to get better.
Well, I'll tell you what, Butch, I was referencing you and some of the other guys of how the shop there is producing some really great shooters. You came in there as a good rifle shooter, but you weren't really familiar with the handguns, but you're the type of guy who listens and applies and tries this or that, and you've become extremely proficient. But not just shooting and hitting the piece of paper. I watch you in these competitions, and you'll have malfunctions, and you don't even think. You just handle that gun. You don't have to. You just maintain focus on the target or the threat, and you just manipulate the gun without even thinking. So, I mean, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you, but it's just person has to put the time in, and that's be my first recommendation is people put their time in to be able to handle a situation, and then you hope you never have the situation.
That's right, absolutely. That's a soldier. He wants to train, but hopefully the mindset he doesn't want to go to war, but he's ready to if necessary.
Yes, and I just want to thank you for letting me be part of your team.
Well, I thank you for wanting to join it. We're having a good old time, and I can't wait for tomorrow to do it again.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, Butch. Well, I appreciate you, man. You take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Butch, he's one of the team, and I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I remember when he came in here, he could hit the paper, but there's all these different things that he has learned, and my gosh, it's incredible. He's a guy you want on your team. I got a whole bunch of other guys too, and And so, ladies, as well, it's just a matter of what your mindset is, and it doesn't take that long if you just open yourself up and listen to it. Now, look, here's the other thing too. Everybody out there has a skill. Everybody does. My skill happens to be protection. And the only difference between what I do and what you're very good at is probably a good chance is if you screw up what you're doing, nobody dies. If I screw up, I die, or maybe I don't take a clean shot or whatever. That's not acceptable. There is no room for error.
Okay.
So if you burn a cake or a pie or whatever, you make another one. If I shoot wrong and hit somebody else, that bullet went somewhere and I got to deal with it. You got another call? Oh, phones are hopping. All right. You are on the Aaron's High Cabin Adventure Radio program. I'm Matt. Who are you?
Hey, this is Lee.
Lee, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
Not much. How you doing?
Oh, doing good this morning. Doing good. On call. Ain't had no calls, so it's a good day so far.
Well, yeah. What's the weather out there? Kind of wet and rainy, so you should be all right.
Ain't nobody doesn't call. Yeah, we call this one the weather today.
Well, give your business a plug, man.
Yeah, wow.
Climate control, AC and heating. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
He does a
Any-
great
any
job,
AC and
honest
heating
guy.
Issues. Yes, sir.
All right, Lee, you're calling up. Why are you calling? What's up?
I just wanted to, kind of same thing Butch will say, man. Just I sure appreciate, what you're doing at the range. I know it's definitely helping me. I used to come out to the range all the time. Every Friday I was out there pretty much, and then that kind of slacked off, and it showed. I noticed that I'd go out and shoot, maybe once a month, once every month and a half, and I wasn't near what I was when I was there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That made me start worrying.
Are you sure?
And Lee, I'll tell you what, you're another guy who listens to instruction. You can tell when somebody's listening and trying to apply because their body gets a certain way. They cock their head towards you. They look at you. They head nod, acknowledge, and then they apply it. They may not apply it perfectly the first time, but you know that they're trying. And you do that, and you've done it enough where you're a very good shooter. So keep up the good work.
Well, I sure do appreciate it. And, like, I've been listening to the show this morning, like you're saying, man, the video thing, that really helps. I've noticed things on myself, like my draw. I should pull, draw, come up, push out. I've been noticing myself just swinging out of my holster,
Yeah, we call that, pendulum, right?
Pendulum, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, he brought up a good point. What it is, when the gun comes out of leather, quote unquote leather, Kydex, whatever, your second hand should be coming onto the weapon as quickly as possible, and the gun should be pointed to the threat, not in an upward swinging motion like a pendulum, but as though it's coming up a ramp, a gradual raising of the weapon into your line of sight pointed at the threat. And the reason being is if I swing it up like a pendulum and I'm trying to aim center mass, I may shoot before I get to center mass, or I may overswing center mass and shoot past center mass. That's the other reason why I'm not too keen on shoulder rigs, because when the gun comes out of the shoulder and you start swinging across, you're causing a horizontal arc, and you could shoot prior to hitting the threat, or you could swing through the threat. So what he was saying there was he's watching his videos and he's seeing that he's swinging, so he's going to work on that, right, Lee?
Definitely got to work on that. Yeah, man, just everything we're doing up there, it's got me excited, man. I feel that, we've been doing it, this will be our third week that we've done it.
Major advancements already.
I've noticed big advances already, it's just practice.
And we're only spending about probably 2 hours or so. So that's
yeah.
And that's rotating 5 to 6 people through with 2 hours.
Yeah.
So the amount of actual range time you're getting is not that much, but by watching and doing yourself, it's amazing how much you advance on it. So that's great. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of it. I can't wait for tomorrow. And I'm glad you're listening.
Bro.
Thanks for listening to the show.
All right, take it easy.
All right, buddy. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you're here. I didn't expect those guys to call, but this is a great follow-up to what I was saying. So if you've got people who want to learn how to shoot better, you want a little personal group team of your own, I organize those things and we can coordinate it and we can figure out how we can get it done for you. Obviously, there's a cost for coming down to the range, but you got to always pay something for something that's worth it, right? Because remember, ain't nothing for free, right? You know what my observation piece said? So I'll tell you what, Joel, let's take a break. We're running a little bit out of time. I'm running long on this segment. We'll take a break. But ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a group of people, let's say 5 or 6 people who want to get together and really learn how to shoot better their handguns, give me a call, 254-697-4721, or give me an email at aaronsgunshop@gmail.com. But I'll be honest with you. I'll be quite frank and honest with you. I don't want you if you're not serious. Okay? It's not about the money. Yes, you're going to pay me, but it's not about the money, really. It's about if you are motivated, you motivate me. And if you motivate me, I guarantee you, you're going to get some good training. Okay? All right, Joel, take a break. When we see you on the other side, we'll do our devotional minute and we'll do our product spotlight. See you on the other side.